Welcome to the Timescales Interviews. I'm Grego, your host, and today I have a very special guest, Pedro Ferreira. Hi, Pedro. How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you. Hi, how are you?
Doing good, thank you. This interview is being recorded in California, and I believe you're in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, United Kingdom, yeah.
What's it like there today?
It's pretty wet actually, and it's getting quite cold because obviously close to Christmas. So,
Right, right. Yeah, same here. We've had a little bit of rare rain, which is very welcome. We just
mm,
planted our winter garden of squash and onions, and the very afternoon that we planted them, it rained, and that seems to be a good omen when it rains right after you plant, especially in
yeah,
California where it doesn't rain a lot. So, um,
yeah.
hey, listen, it's great to meet you. We've been talking through email or text or something here for a while, and I've been looking forward to talking to you. Um, you've been following the Timescales interview series, and
Yeah.
you had some input on some of the interviews, which I found to be very interesting, because you have some points of view that fit in perfectly in some areas that have really not been touched on a lot,
Mm.
and so that people can get to know you. Let me ask you a really broad, open-ended question, and I promise it'll be the only one like this today. Um,
Okay.
who is Pedro Ferreira, and what is an average day in life like for you?
Um, well, I mean, I suppose I would say that I'm just someone who's trying to kind of see where they are in life and try and make the best of it. Try not to offend too many people, and try to get the most out of life and be able to contribute something. And yeah, just try to just I think enjoy myself and just not be a nuisance to people. And I have obviously disabilities and stuff, and that causes issues. But for the most part, I just try to I'm just trying to get ahead in life. So
Okay, very good. Um, what are your favorite areas in arts and performing arts?
I like film and television, and I also like video games. And I've built up over the years a lot of knowledge from those areas. Don't know much about music. I don't mind music, but I'm kind of indifferent to it at times. So yeah.
Now, before we started recording, you touched on something which you just mentioned. You know,
Mm,
trying not to upset people, and you said something that I found very interesting about forums. And then
mm,
we were also talking about Doctor Who a little bit, which we'll go into here in just a second. And I'm wondering if you could elaborate on your experience of using internet forums
mm,
in regards to upsetting people, being
yeah.
banned. What has happened there?
Well, I've always kind of been. I suppose I've had like this problem where because I'm autistic, one of the problems of having autism is that you can have very strong views on opinions on things. And one of the problems of one of the problems of that is that when you go onto a forum, you have to this is something I can sometimes forget, is that you have to kind of consent to what the behavior of what how you're supposed to behave. You're supposed to act a certain kind of way. You're supposed to have certain opinions that don't maybe cross the line or anything like that. And it's very easy for someone like me who has different opinions on media to get into trouble with mods who perhaps hold a certain strong political opinion or have a certain opinion on what is good and what is bad in the entertainment that you've gone to the forum for. And it's I liken it to someone I visit, someone channel I visit who I enjoy watching his content from. His name is Robert Meyer Burnett. he once told me, he's told me a couple of times that when you are on a forum, you are a guest, and the idea is to try and be a guest and not go out of your bounds, because that will get you basically sent out of the forum, basically sent out of the house. And I get that and I understand that. So I try to be as nice as I can. The only, I guess the only issues I have with this is that you go to a forum because you enjoy the you enjoy what you've gone to the forum for to talk about. So, for instance, if it's Star Trek, you want to go to a forum that you enjoy talking about because there are other topics on there to discuss, and you have some knowledge and you want to put your views out there and you want to engage with other people. Um, the problem there is that if you get banned from that forum for whatever reason, then it cuts you off from that. It cuts you off from that fandom. It cuts you off from that website, which can be a great website and can have a great forum, but you're then sort of taken out of that route to discussing your fandom and to discussing what you enjoy in that fandom. And that I think is, I don't think people in power who are in control of those forums really understand what's going on. And if I told you the reasons why I've been banned, you would be questioning, any sane person would question why I was banned from those forums. Um, uh, because they weren't very good they weren't very good reasons to ban me for my opinions. But it ends up being all political, or just not having the same progressive views everyone else has, or not liking the same things. I mean, I think one of the reasons I got kicked out of the Ghostbusters fans forum was because um, I thought that practical effects were superior to CGI, and I gave an article that kind of went into why. But that was one of the reasons why I got kicked out of this Ghostbusters forum. And I really liked going there, but the mod did not take a liking to me. He didn't like my political opinions, and so I had to go. Basically, I was basically cancelled. I was left asked to leave, and it's things like this. And I think I've been banned from a Star Trek Reddit, one of the big Star Trek Reddits I've been banned from. And I went to another Reddit, one of the smaller Star Trek Reddits, where all the kind of uh, the people who've been banned go to, and where we all congregate. And someone raised a really, really good point. If you want to be a mod for a forum, don't be a mod. Don't give power to people who want to be mods. Make people who are mods people who don't want to be mods, because more often than not, that will lead to a better moderation of a forum. And it's great when you think about it. It's just a great idea, because the people who are in charge more times than not are control freaks, and they want people to have the same. They'll wake up one day, they'll see something on social media, they'll think, well, everyone has to have the same opinion that I do, and I have to put it out there. And if you don't have that opinion, then you're out of here. And that's what's happened to me. And I guess I've been a victim of that. And
Okay.
I've been criticized for for seeing myself as a victim, but it is the truth when you go back and when you look at things from an objective point of view. It does seem kind of crazy, the reasons why I've been sort of banned. And I kind of wish, I suppose, in a perfect world, I wish that those forums that banned me sort of um, sort of apologized to me and kind of brought me back to the forum. But that would mean that they were wrong, and they will never admit that they were wrong. So yeah.
Okay. Very, very good. And I am absolutely certain that your experiences are not unique. I'm sure that this has happened to a lot of people,
Mm.
and I believe that.
Can I just say, there was
Hmm?
one forum, there's one forum that I used to go to, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles forum. And so far, as far as I'm aware, I'm not banned from that forum, but I chose to leave because of the treatment I was getting there from the members there. I was getting harassed for enjoying the 1980s Ninja Turtles cartoon series because it's very it's very you're not supposed to like that cartoon when on that forum. You're not supposed to like that cartoon. It's looked down upon, it's belittled. And so if you have a non-ironic uh, value, if you see non-ironic value in the cartoon, people don't like you there. And I was contributing, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was during lockdown, I contributed some scans of some very rare Ninja Turtles coloring books, stuff that isn't available online. And I didn't get any thanks for it. And people were asking, why is this stuff here? And I just thought, that's, I'm giving, this is rare stuff. It's being preserved by me. I like to preserve old media, and this is being preserved by me. And I'm not getting any thanks for doing it, because it's related to the 80s cartoon series. And I haven't been back since. Maybe I should go back, but it's just the general attitude of those fans that really just got me annoyed. So yeah.
Okay, understood. Um, and like I said, your experience is not unique. I have seen this happen. I have seen fans that were bullied, where the forum owners or administrators, often the same, and
Mm,
their hand-picked group of mods pretty much stick together and allow this small group of people to treat and mediate the large group of people, um, without where if the large group of users,
yeah,
and I say not visitors
yeah.
or guests, where the without the large amount of users, the forum itself would be defunct.
I,
And I
I
have
I've
seen.
I've just going to say, there is one particular website that I was attending. I don't know if I should name the person or the place. Am I allowed to do that? Or
Yeah, it's fine with me.
um, I mean, I was going to Den of Geek. Den of Geek is quite a big website, and it used to be owned by Simon Brew. And I was happy there. I was commenting and stuff like that. I used to annoy the the mod in charge, who was Simon Brew, who's the editor, who's the guy behind the website. Um, and he didn't like my political opinions, and he didn't like that I didn't like new Doctor Who, and he didn't like that my opinions were not as progressive as he would have liked. And he also didn't like that I rejected the 2016 Ghostbusters movie because he was friends with the director Paul Feig and gave it a favorable review. And I think the last thing I think the last thing that got me banned was he did a review of the 2017, 2018 movie The Predator. And the the reasons for not liking the movie had nothing to do with the writing, it was to do with representation. And responded to a comment. I responded to a comment saying, someone wrote a comment saying they didn't disagreed with the review and that he didn't like the review. And I said that the great thing about reviews is that you don't have to take one at face value. There are loads of reviews out there, so I encourage you to read as many reviews as you can about a movie and come to your own conclusions whether you want to go and see the movie in the cinema. And that's what got me.
Really?
um,
No.
so there were a lot of people there who were very toxic. There are a lot of people there who are still toxic, um, who who he was okay with because they had his political opinions. And Simon Brew left Den of Geek. He banned me. The last thing he did he banned me. He shadow banned me, which means that no one can. No. He actually fully banned me, so I couldn't type anything. So he banned me, and then he left. I think he got I think he got annoyed with the way the website was going and how it wasn't picking up views or something like that. It was being very much like a corporation. So he left the website as editor after, not before banning me. And then he set up a new website called Film Stories. And he set up a new website called Film Stories. He created a magazine called Film Stories Magazine, and he kind of pre-banned me on there. So as soon as I went there to try and write something, he pre-banned me from there.
Really?
Um,
Did you
yeah.
have the same username?
Well, he can because it's discuss. It's discuss forums is the how it's DISQUS. It's discuss is a kind of forum. So like articles, on every article you have a discuss forum and people write comments and then other people reply, and that's basically a
Yeah.
way of talking. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I've heard of that. I've
So,
never actually seen it. I've
so
also heard of Den of Geek, but I don't believe
yeah,
I've ever
so
seen it.
Den of Geek is a quite a big geek related website, but Discuss is what they use to talk basically,
Okay.
and you can basically take someone's username and I think basically block them everywhere, and so when the other people came on, uh, when the other people took over from Simon, what happened was they unblocked me, but what they did was they shadow banned me. So I'm currently still shadow banned from there. The the irony, of course, is this. The irony, of course, is that when I spoke about this and when I complained about this on Digital Spies forum, they banned me as well because of that.
Oh no.
So because I had mentioned that, they actually blocked me there as well. So I'm banned from there as well in relation to Den of Geek. Um, and so I was banned from all of those websites, and it just so happens, because we go into the same circles of entertainment, it just so happens that on Twitter I came across Simon Brew, and he was talking about the overreaction to the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. And I said, like, why you gave it 3 out of 5, but you gave it a very favorable review. Like, I was trolling, I was annoyed by his treatment towards me. So I was trolling, but also pointing out that him acting like a victim is because he gave a bad movie a fairly good rating and a fairly good review. I mean, he gave it 3 out of 5, but he actually wrote a very positive review of the movie, because he was friends with the director. Um,
Okay.
but Simon replied, "Oh, hello, Pedro," in response to this, and he didn't say anything else. Um, so I thought that I behaved a bit inappropriately. So what happened was I went to Simon Brew's. I messaged Simon Brew on Twitter and I apologized for my behavior. And I said to him, I apologize for being so, strong in my opinions. I have autism. I've been diagnosed with autism. Um, I have these reviews. I have written these reviews. Would you like to read these reviews? They've been published now. Would you like to read those reviews? And you can come back and critique me on these reviews now, since, it's just a way of giving back. Instead of taking and taking and reading his reviews and critiquing them, it was me giving my own reviews, allowing him to critique them and come back and saying how that I could improve. And I didn't get any response from him from this. What I did find out is that immediately after, he wrote an article on film stories about me, saying how, labeling me as toxic fandom, and how Ghostbusters 2016 years later still has toxic fandom, and this is in relation to his interaction with me online. So yeah, I mean,
Well, it sounds like you're a really good critic. Now you have me wanting to read your reviews. Now, let me ask you this: as far
but
as
but but
being
but but, but I was just going to say that people like this who are in power can take someone who doesn't have a YouTube channel, or who doesn't have a website, a written reviews website or whatever, and they can then pounce and bully and harass those nobodies like me who just have a account, because they can do that. They have the power, they have the following to do that. I've run into this with Quantum Leap, the TV show Quantum Leap. One of the podcasts went after me because I didn't like the way the new Quantum Leap was set up and everything. So I got a lot of I've gotten a lot of negativity about that. But they did podcast. They did a podcast about me because I I argued with this person about how you write a show, and the creative aspects of it. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. First of all, a forum owner or administrator cannot ban a person, because people are not on the internet. Computers are on the internet, and people use computers.
Mm.
So, have you considered changing your username and perhaps using proxy servers,
Yeah.
or changing your IP address in another manner in order to access
Mm.
or re-access the group of people that you would like to be with?
So the big thing has always been, why don't you just create an alt account? And as someone who has been bullied and harassed over a games console, which I won't get into, um, I really dislike alt accounts, and I feel that if they've banned me for whatever reason they have, um, coming back as someone new, they're not these people aren't stupid. They will eventually find out who I am, and they'll find out my join date or my level, and they will just ban me again. Um, I think that I think that coming under a different account is just not productive. It's not it's not me. It's not really me. If they have to ban me for who I am, under that username, I shouldn't have to create alt accounts um to write something, to take part in something. It just seems counterproductive, and it's also degrading me, because then it puts me in the shadows. It puts me as someone who can't be trusted, because it's not really me. It's an alt account.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's why I don't do it. That's why I try not to do it. Um, I have good excuses for being banned, so I don't feel I need to create an alt account. It just means that the crime is that these people ban me and I can't get back onto these websites. So I can't engage with these fandoms. So
Right. And you just don't want to do so as an alt, because changing your
hmm.
IP address is relatively easy. And
No, if I created an alt account, I would say I was the alt account of this account. but then of course you open yourself up for um to be basically banned because they're telling people you are
Right.
or not. You know, that's the only thing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it definitely seems very unfair when the decision makers and the people that have the ability to exclude people don't seem to have much, if any, accountability. Now,
yeah,
let me ask you this. Are you a Doctor Who fan by any chance?
I enjoy Doctor Who. I follow it. I'm not the biggest fan ever, but I know a lot about it. I've watched the entire classic series and new series. I'm not a fan of the modern series. I am a fan of the classic series. But I follow it, and it's one of the few new TV shows that I actually do follow when it goes out, you know.
Okay. Have you been watching the current there's three specials, The Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and then
The giggle.
The Giggle. Have you watched these? And you did
Yeah.
say that you're not really a fan of the current series. Have you
No.
watched these, and why are you not a fan of the current series?
Well, I mean, um, when people say I'm not a fan of the modern series, it's not in relation to uh, what they would call the woke stuff, the stuff that the politically correct stuff, the diversity stuff, whatever. Um,
Which is
I
not just in Doctor Who, it seems to be in a lot of
Yeah,
media.
it's in all of entertainment. My
Right.
problems with Doctor Who really were from the very beginning of when it got rebooted. I actually so what happened was I watched the first episode, Rose, of the 2005 series when it came back. And I was thinking, wow, this is going to be big. I might as well watch it because it could be good. I really don't like Doctor Who, you know, so I might as well watch it. And um, that episode made me hate Doctor Who so much that it made me go and seek out the original series and watch that and see what all the big fuss was about. And it made me really enjoy the classic series. I really, at that age, I think I'd reached the age where I could really appreciate how the show was made. And I, I really got to sort of understand um, like through the extra features on the DVDs, I really got to see how the show was put together. And because as someone who wanted to get into filmmaking, I really sort of appreciated the new series, the old series more. I still stuck with the new series and I watched every episode of the new series. And there were some episodes I liked, and there were some episodes I didn't like. There were some episodes I really absolutely hated. But I think it wasn't until Jodie Whittaker took over the role that I started to have other problems with it, and it dealt with the politics. The politics were the issue. Um, I simply didn't like the idea that the Doctor was going to be a woman, and it had nothing to do with gender, because if they had done this back in uh, the 90s, or if they'd done this back in the 80s or whatever, I would not have had a problem with this. My problem was that um, they spent 50 plus years with the Doctor as a woman. Why are they changing it now? There's no good creative reason as to why are they changing the sex of the Doctor now.
You mean they spent 50 plus years with the Doctor as a man?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are they changing it now? And I was trying to figure out why. And I knew that the BBC, because I've worked at the BBC a little bit as well. I know that the BBC were trying to include more diversity, but with everything being changed to incorporate a woman just for the sake of incorporating a woman, I'm against this because creatively it's a gimmick. There's no creative reason for the Doctor to become a woman. It just seems like, well, we need to include a woman just to just to kind of satisfy certain audiences. And I just didn't understand why they were doing this. And I made my feelings clear on this, but people see that I don't want the Doctor to be a woman, and they immediately think, oh, he's a misogynist. He just doesn't like women, blah, 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 blah. And it was much more nuanced than that. It was much more the fact that creatively, I feel strongly about writing and 21st century television and film, how it's gone downhill. And I feel that you've got to, you know, I just feel there's this lack of competency, and I just feel that creatively they could be doing so much better. So I had a problem with this, and I got a huge amount of hate online for this on Facebook, and it made me actually go and get tested for autism, because I saw that my opinions were not the typical opinion that people were looking at, and and I got tested for autism. I got proven to have autism and communication difficulties. Um, so so yeah, that's what happened. But in a way, it proved to actually help me, because it got me to test for autism. But the downside of that is that I was proven correct that this was a bad decision, because the ratings have obviously gone down. When you look at the Jodie Whittaker era, ratings gone down. I thought the Flux thing was actually really good. I thought that was actually really enjoyable. I thought that was really good, but everything around it, the whole Rosa Parks episode was horrible, really, really horribly constructed, just a really horrible concept. I didn't like that. I didn't like the arachnoids in London thing. There are a lot of things I didn't like. Um, and with the specials, I have my own problems with that. I didn't like, you know, they really wanted to put messaging into the Star Beast episode, which I was really kind of against. I knew they would do this, but I was against how far they took it. There was a lot of really bad writing apart from the political messaging as well. But yeah, that seems to have gone into the recent special as well. The what was it called again? The one where they're on the space station.
Wild Blue Yonder.
Wild Blue Yonder. Yeah, yeah. So that seems to have continued a bit onto there as well. So
Okay, I think those were written by Russell T Davies,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or pronounced
That
Russell
makes
T
sense.
Davis in England. Here it looks like it's supposed to say Davies, but
Yeah,
you know,
that would make sense, because he's written a lot of stuff I didn't like.
okay. Now
He's written
you
stuff that I
used
didn't mind. He's written stuff I didn't mind as well, but he goes overboard. So and he's very he thinks very highly of himself as well, which figures into his writing, because he writes very selfish characters. So that would make sense, because he's like that himself. So yeah.
Okay. Now, there's something I want to come back to about you being diagnosed with autism
Mm.
after finding that you were extremely opinionated about the Jodie Whittaker era. That's very interesting. But I have one question about a word that you used in relation to the episode Rose and some of the other episodes. You said that you hated them.
Mm.
And what I'm wondering is, what is it that you hated about Rose in the 2005 broadcast? And by the way, did you watch the leak of Rose? You know, the Rose was leaked by the Canadian, an
No, I didn't.
employee, yeah, an employee at the Canadian Broadcasting Service or whatever up in Canada actually
Mm.
leaked an episode of Rose either a couple of days or a week before it was broadcast. So if you didn't know, I guess you didn't watch that one. But that's a pretty good way
Mm.
of finding a real hardcore Doctor
Well,
Who fan. There's when they admit watching the leak of Rose. But what did you hate?
I wasn't into streaming a lot then back then, so
Well, there
I wouldn't
wasn't
learn about
streaming
it.
back in 2005. It was somebody just uploaded it to an internet file sharing service or
Hmm.
something like that.
I don't think I
But
would have. I mean, I think I was using file sharing service at the time, but I didn't know about TV shows. No, I wasn't
right,
into that. I
it
wouldn't
was.
have
I think it
even.
was BitTorrent. It was
Hmm.
actually it wasn't BitTorrent. I think BitTorrent was the infrastructure behind
Hmm.
some of the websites where people were file sharing
Right.
television. But so you didn't watch the leak of it, but you did watch Rose, and you
I
hated
watched
it.
it. I watched it
Well,
live as
why?
well. I watched it live as well. I now you can watch all the episodes on iPlayer. Now I watch the episodes on iPlayer.
Well,
Um,
if you're in England, you can. We we
yeah,
we
yeah.
can't watch iPlayer here. We're blocked from that. But
Right.
what is it that you hated about Rose?
I thought that Russell T Davies unfortunately took every single bad thing about the classic series and basically, instead of taking all the good stuff, he took all the bad stuff from the classic series. So the kind of the cheesiness of Doctor Who, he took he took the cheesiness, he took the kind of the kind of the over the top acting and the way the characters are written. He took all that stuff and he basically thought, well, we'll have a huge more amount of visual effects because that will cover over the cracks of the plot. And also he decided to really dumb down the plots, dumb down the writing, so that if you look at the original Doctor Who, the show is written for kids and it's written for teenagers, but it's very intelligent writing. It's it has some silliness to it, but it's very intelligently written. And um, it it with the new series, I guess because times have changed, Russell T Davies wanted to appeal to a broad audience of today, and that meant dumbing things down so far that you would you would need to you wouldn't need to pay attention much. You would just need to look at the pictures, and that's kind of what they did. And it's such a shame because I was like, what is this show? I mean, I watched the 1996 TV movie and it wasn't this bad. So I'll go and watch the original series because I'm sure the original series wasn't like this either. I've watched episodes of the original series and I wasn't a big fan, but I watched Sylvester McCoy, but it wasn't this bad. But yeah, I mean that I think and you could argue that it worked because it did create a whole new audience. But Russell T Davies, I mean, you've got to have some responsibility to the viewer, and you've got to, yeah, I know that it's easier to write like this and to dumb things down because audiences today will understand, but you've got to give audiences some credit and um you've got to kind of what's the word? You've kind of got to go against convention and you've got to kind of write better than what viewership is expecting you to write like. You know, I, I would just write like the original series, just don't be beholden to what you think you have to write today, just because it it's just a failure to it's a failure to teach to young children who want to fantasize and who want to imagine. And yeah, and they can't do that because you're not giving them you're giving them a council estate with these characters who just want to be on this council estate all the time. And that's kind of the show when it came back. They had to keep bringing it back to somewhere that's actually really boring and kind of suck all the fun out of it. And all the science fiction aspects were kind of glossed over. They weren't explained, or they were kind of explained very fast. The technobabble wasn't explained in any detail. It was just explained really, really fast because they didn't think that the audience would want to know about any of that stuff. It's just Yeah, these are the reasons why.
Okay, very good. Now, you said that you uh, had been diagnosed with autism. Could
Mm.
you tell us about that if you don't mind? Is it okay to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about autism is that throughout my entire life, I've been very different. I've had different opinions on things, and I've been outspoken about things. I think when I was when I was very young, I was not an outspoken person. I was very quiet, but I've kind of gone the extreme end as I've grown older, and I've been very outspoken about things. Um, but it's also sensory issues, so sensory stimulation um, and stuff like that has basically figured into my autism, and it's been difficult for my family as well. Um, what it means is that I was diagnosed very late. I was diagnosed only a few years ago, and it just means that throughout my entire working career and my entire learning career as learning life, um, I missed out on proper support. So yeah, yeah. And it's created autism. It's created anxiety issues as well, and debilitating issues, and um, talking talking like a huge amount can create anxiety issues and stuff like that. So yeah, it's there are issues related to how autism and anxiety work together as well. So yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, have you used Doctor Who forums? I am familiar with several of them. I personally have not used them for many years,
Mm,
and I can tell you one of the reasons is that I found myself turned off and not really interested in those forms of fan communication because I personally witnessed some of the things that you have described. You know, I have seen groups of people uh, that seem to team up against other groups of people that don't have the same views. And I have seen situations where it appeared as if the forum administrator and or the mods would actually go against the users or so-called guests. And I found it to be something not interesting to me, aside from it being a little bit stressful to even read, you know, and to witness somebody being treated unfairly.
mm.
And I can't tell you the last time I was on those. I don't know if it's like that anymore these days because I
Well,
think
I
that
hear
modern community,
Outpost Gallifrey is not a great place to be.
um, I don't think that exists anymore.
Oh, doesn't it? Mm.
It's no, it's Outpost Gallifrey was originally a news site. Well, it still exists today. It's just it's a news site like it was originally, but it that adapted into something else, and that was I don't remember the name of it right now, but um, have you been on Doctor Who forums and were you ever banned or bullied?
The only Doctor Who related place I ever went to in terms of forums was Digital Spy. I think I went to one of the forums. I think I posted on one of the forums once, and I probably got banned. But um, on Digital Spy, that was the only place I would ever post. But as I say, I got banned from there when I spoke about how I got banned from Den of Geek. I got banned there immediately. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so moving on beyond Doctor Who,
Mm.
um, what are your personal interests in the areas of arts and performing arts? So what do you like to do and what would you like to do?
Um, well, I mean, what I would like to do, I think, is get into writing and be able to go onto podcasts and sort of take part in film reviews, and it doesn't even have to be a YouTube podcast. It can be like a radio podcast, and just kind of sort of give my critique and things, give a different side to maybe things, and um, just and talk about films, TV, and also video games. I have a huge history with video games and stuff like that. So yeah, I know a lot about all these different areas, and often I see a lot of these. I don't like to call them hate channels, but obviously channels where there's a lot of negativity, and they're fine if you if you um if you like those, if you agree with the opinions of those channels, they're great, but they tend to go on a bit about their negativity, and it's enjoyable to be able to talk about something else that's maybe a bit, to have positive feelings about something. And yeah, I think I'd like to be in a position where I can do that, and just put my opinions out there, and just basically also in terms of an income, have a job where I can write about stuff like this that I enjoy and get paid for it, and just yeah, just get sort of accepted more. I think I've reached the age where I kind of deserve it. So yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the parts of this interview series that I always like to ask people that are involved in arts and performing arts is about rejection. And which that's, it's not a positive word, but I can't think of a more positive way of putting it. Rejection is a situation. Let's say someone has a book that they've written, and they've finished it. They've worked on it for many years.
Mhm.
They know in their heart that it is really good. Maybe that they've had fans or family or friends read their works, and everything is looking absolutely excellent, only to encounter rejection, where when submitting such to a publisher, they may not hear anything back.
Mm,
Or in some situations, they may actually hear back, get a letter or an email that may be vague, saying, "We're sorry, this does not fit into our agenda at this time," or some fancy wording like that.
yeah.
Um, but it can leave a creative with a sense of failure, I
Mm.
suppose. And I'm wondering, have you dealt with rejection yourself um, when entertaining your desire to become involved in arts and performing arts? And if so, could you tell us which areas?
Yeah, I mean, I've always tried to get into jobs that I can do. I've done job applications, and um I've had just rejection after rejection for some very silly reasons every now and again. Um, I think that I keep applying because I have no reason not to apply, but it gets really tiring after one. Sometimes I just can't be bothered to apply because it becomes you know what kind of the result will be, and that's one of the problems with rejection. Um, what I found, I guess, was that what I found, I guess, is that there are reasons for rejection in sort of applying for jobs, and you might do the best application ever for a job, and it might just get rejected for no reason. They just You don't meet a criteria, or and I don't mean a criteria in terms of meeting the job criteria. I mean criteria is in you're not the correct gender or sex, or also the fact that they've already looked at too many applications and they can't take any more, or and this is it. But I think it's interesting because I talk to organizations that are now helping me try to apply for jobs, and we are finding um, we are finding some weirdness in terms of how applications undone and how random it is in terms of um, how rejection is. So it's yeah, it's interesting, but it's horrible. It's a horrible thing to have, and it can give you a lot of depression after a while, especially years of not being where you want to be in life. Um, I think I often say this is that it's incredibly frustrating that someone who has the sort of the budding talent that I have, it can't be exploited. It can't be exploited, and it can't be uh you can't grow it. I'm not being given the chance. I'm falling through the cracks. I've fallen through the cracks for a very long time, and I can speak about my problems, but unfortunately, I can't do anything about them because I'm not the person in power who can give me the job. So yeah, that's the big problem that I face. And imagine how many films you could have got out of me. Imagine how many, how much TV or films you could have got out of me if you had trained me sooner, So, but it's never too late. It's never too late. But it makes it difficult to find a way forward in a career, to find something I'm good at. Because even the most cynical critic of mine, even the person who really dislikes me, will come back with, well, why don't you just work in a supermarket, or why don't you just work in a shop or something like that? The problem is, like, to try and be degrading because that's all I'll ever be good for, but I'm not even good at that because that's not where my skills are. I'm not. I'm literally, because of my autism and physical issues. I actually can't work in retail. I'm not good at working in retail. I'm not a good fit for retail. So, so you need to, like, if I am going to work in some low paid job somewhere, it really should be somewhere where I have the skills to do it. And there are certain jobs I can't do. I can't do labor. I can't do labor because I'm not built for it. I can't do anything like retail because I don't have good interpersonal skills to be able to sell something. I certainly can't do I certainly can't do uh, um, call center work where you're trying to sell someone something, or market research or something. I'm just not good at talking to people over the phone, trying to sell them something, you know. So yeah, there are certain jobs that I can't do, but the jobs that I do want to do that I could be good for, like archiving, for instance, preservation, I'm not allowed to do those jobs. It's not because of a lack of trying. I've just not been given the chance to do it.
Okay. Now, one thing that I've learned in this interview series is that when deciding what you are going to do, make sure that it's something you love, because you're going to be doing a lot of it. And
Yeah,
another thing that I've learned is to not let rejection, or the harsh word failure, which some people see rejection as failure, don't let
yeah.
it stop you, and just keep going, and just keep going. And what I'm wondering is, ideally, um, what is it that you really would like to do most in arts and entertainment? And are you still presently pursuing that dream or goal?
Well, it's the only dream or goal I can do because I'm not really, I'm not, I don't think I would be interested in doing something that's, um, I don't think I'd be interested in doing something that I can't engage with, something I can't enjoy doing. So unfortunately for me, what I'm interested in doing and what I'm good at doing is what I'm pursuing, and that's it. If you look at my CV or resume, um, you'll notice that all my jobs, most of my jobs, have been in areas where I know what I'm doing. Where I have some understanding of what I'm doing. So yeah.
Okay. When looking at the competitive job market for the areas that you would be interested in,
Mm.
What do you have to bring that would make you superior to other candidates?
I have general, I have general kind of understanding of the things that that I do. I have experience, I have actual experience in archiving, so I have previous experience in archiving, so that's a plus. Um, I also have, in terms of writing, I've written reviews, I've written critical reviews, I've written TV reviews. I just haven't written any published scripts. Um, so that's something that you could build off at and sort of get me to grow on. But I think it's good to have someone around you, someone around the writing team to kind of be able to critique uh, your television and be able to tell you where you could improve. And you know, I wrote like I said, I wrote a I wrote a Reddit post detailing what problems I have with modern Quantum Leap and how it could be improved. And I got downvoted to hell, by the way, but 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 it was really valid points. It was really
Imagine
valid.
getting downvoted on Reddit. You're definitely not alone.
Oh, I mean, I thought that the Quantum Leap fans would be a bit more open-minded because Quantum Leap fans are supposed to be open-minded because of the
And
show.
they're not. Go figure.
No, they're not. And the guy who I previously annoyed with my opinions about the show's construction, the guy from the podcast, he came after me, and now he's probably going to do another podcast about me because of this Reddit post that I made, just criticizing my problems with modern quantum leap. And I don't take any satisfaction from having issues with modern quantum leap. I actually really want it to do well. I just have problems with it, and I
Okay.
want it to succeed. So I don't want it to be cancelled, but
Right.
I don't like the way it is at the moment, and it could be better. So
Okay. Pedro, listen, it's been really fun talking to you today, and I
mm,
wish you all of the best. But I do have a couple of questions based on what I've learned in talking to you today.
sure.
Have you considered starting your own I guess forum or something? I think forum is getting to be an outdated term. It used to refer to basically a website that allows people to leave messages back and forth to each other. Have you ever considered starting your own forum, and or have you considered starting your own critical review site of media?
For forums, um, the problem with forums is that unless you're someone famous, people aren't going to visit your forum. So then you have to rely on advertising, and advertising, no one likes to be hit with so much advertising. Uh, I would I don't think forums would be suitable for me unless I became famous. In terms of a YouTube channel or a website, I don't know how to write. I don't know how to write a website or manage a website. Um, I think that I could learn how to put content on the website, but in terms of a YouTube channel, I just don't have the I don't have the technical expertise in terms of doing professional looking um, reviews, because that's something I would really want to do. If I did critical reviews, I'd want them to look proper professional, like Oliver Harper style reviews. That's the kind of standard that I would be going for, except more of a critique of the film. His channel is much more visually focused and giving you an overview of the film than it is about giving a critique. So I would really want the best. I would reach for the highest I could. I wouldn't want to put something out there that is me just sitting down, reviewing something, unless it was a podcast, because it's not a great. It's just not. It just for me, I would see that it looks horrible. I mean, in my opinion, it would look horrible. I would want to put something out that looks professionally done. And I think also the people who dislike me already from whatever encounters I've had with them, they would use this as ammo to say that I'm unprofessional. So I think we can do better than that. I think if I got help, and you know, there are agencies, there are there are talent agencies who pick up YouTubers. Not this isn't really well known, but some of your favorite YouTubers have talent agencies who write scripts, who write your scripts, and who put out your videos. You're in the videos, you narrate your videos, you have some idea of what you want to do, but the talent agencies hire people who actually work with the YouTubers to put out the videos. And I didn't know this until about a year ago, but this is what happens. This is the reality of how YouTube works a lot of the time. So yeah, if I got something like that, but you have to be picked up by a talent agency or something like that. So
Right.
yeah, but
Okay.
it's trying to get into the rejection of applying. And I've applied for the BBC on a couple of occasions. I've applied for the BBC, done a BBC intern application, and that got rejected. Um, there is there is one time. I don't know if I should be saying this because it's quite controversial. Um,
Go right ahead. You can say anything you want controversial on here.
this hasn't been proven, so take this with a pinch of salt. But back in 2009, I did an application, an intern application for the BBC, um, and 2009, and they one of the last questions they ask on the application is, can you come up with a TV idea, a TV show idea that can be developed? And why do you like this idea? And why do you think this idea would be a good idea? And my mind was thinking, well, you know, they want free ideas because a lot of these companies do want free ideas when you do internships. And the thing about these ideas is that um, it's no secret that some of these ideas then get taken to the script department and then get elaborated on by them. So people basically end up taking your ideas, but the writer wouldn't get credit for it because those ideas go through like a machine, and then they go through a script department, and uh, then you know it's a great internship applications are a great way to get free ideas because you don't have to pay for those ideas. They come from budding talent. You don't have to hire those people, but they don't get they won't get any credit because you know they the BBC isn't or ITV or whatever aren't going to respond to them, or Channel 4 or whatever aren't going to respond to these networks aren't going to respond to this person who created this idea. They'll come up with their own idea. They don't have to have this person for an internship. So I came up with an idea for a TV show. It's a good idea. I thought it was a good idea about this detective who is set in a modern day, and it's kind of like Sherlock Holmes. But I thought to myself at the time, they can't get the license to show because I thought maybe it's like a license. I'd heard the horror stories about what happened with Star Trek Next Generation, and I thought, well, the BBC are not going to get the Sherlock Holmes license. Um, I'll come up with an idea that is like Sherlock Holmes, but it's my own take on it. It's set in the modern day, so it's not set in the 19th century or 18th century or when it's set. Um, and I'll have this guy who goes around. He investigates murders, and he has a companion like his own Dr. Watson, and they work in the shadows. Um, they don't really interact much with the police, I guess. And um, it's a good idea, and he has some motivation from his past. He has some motivation. Something tragic happened in his past, so he has some motivation and to be able to. This is why he wants to do this. This is why he's able to do these cases, and it's a good idea. So I submitted the application, got a rejection. Um, I didn't get any feedback. Got no feedback. A year later, BBC come out with Sherlock, which is set in the present day. It's with Sherlock Holmes, investigating murders, blah blah blah. It's Sherlock in the modern day. Now, there are two ways you can look at this. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you could say that they stole my idea, and Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss took the idea, and because it was given to them by people looking at these applications, and and they came up with this idea. They basically worked off, or they were sparked by my idea to do this TV show called Sherlock. Or if you wanted to look at it a bit more, maybe a bit more rationally, or a bit more looking at it from a less conspiratorial point of view, you could say that, well, why didn't they hire me? Why didn't they hire Pedro for the internship? Because they came out with a TV show that's exactly that the year after. So clearly he's coming up with an idea that is on the same lines as what we're coming up with, what we're developing. So, so from my point of view, either way, it doesn't look very good on the BBC, because even if they didn't steal my idea, I was so on the same wavelength as in terms of what they were looking for, I should have been accepted for an internship. So, and I still have proof. if anybody else, I have proof of that. I copied and pasted my document. I've got proof that it exists. I'm not just making stuff up. That application still exists on my hard drive. But yeah. So something went on there. So yeah, I don't know what happened there, but either they owe me royalties or they owe me an internship. But
Okay,
yeah,
so it sounds like you keep a portfolio of your works, and
yeah.
that is something that I've also learned in this interview series, that is very important. That when someone has an idea that is rejected, or that they'll shelve it. They don't
Mhm.
just go and delete the file.
Yeah.
In most cases, but they will build a portfolio. So it sounds like to me that you are on track there by keeping a portfolio of your works. And now
I
what
have a
you've just said,
portfolio. I was just going to say, I definitely have a portfolio. When we look at actual portfolios, I definitely have a portfolio of um, film and TV reviews and video games, and also stuff that I have stuff where I've scanned material, because I've said before I'm into preservation. I've done a lot of scanning of my own as well, so I've got a kind of portfolio of that as well. So in terms of that stuff, I definitely have a portfolio. Yeah.
okay, now what you mentioned about submissions of works, which would include unsolicited works.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Big Finish, which does
Yeah.
Doctor Who? Okay,
Yeah.
Doctor Who and many other types of stories. Um, they do not accept unsolicited stories, perhaps for reasons similar to what you have
Mm,
just stated, um,
yeah.
where they can't accept submissions of stories unless they approach an author and ask for a
I think
story for
that's
that
the way it
very
works.
reason.
Yeah.
And right, and with
It's a shame, really.
your
I was just going to say it's a shame, really, because I had some ideas in terms of TV shows that they could adapt into TV shows that they could adapt into audio, TV IPs that they could try and get the rights to, and but yeah, anyway, yeah, sorry.
Well, what I would advise you is learn from this interview series. I appreciate the fact that you showed interest in it, and that you have had opinions about it. and try to learn from the other people that have found success in the areas that you would like to achieve. It sounds like you have a lot of the key elements there. And what I think would be wonderful if you pulled on your portfolio of works and created a public piece, such as a review site, perhaps with an interactive forum. And you said that it's difficult to build a website, but there was a time when it was difficult to build a website because a person would really need to know HTML in particular. But things have gotten much easier these days, and it's really not that difficult to build a website. And what I would love to see from you would be a website with a forum for discussion where you're not moderated or bullied, a podcast from you, which they're not hard to make. I mean, look at this show. It's not fancy at all. I'm not an editor. And as far as this interview series that I've been doing, it's not flashy.
Yeah.
I it has somewhat good music, I hope, because I've written some of it, but it's not intended to be flashy or modern or look like other things on YouTube. It's for the content. And it sounds like to me that you have a portfolio of content that other people would enjoy. Have you ever considered doing a podcast of perhaps critical reviews?
I would like to, but I would, I mean, I would first like to get onto other podcasts to be able to take part in those first before having my own podcast.
Well, here
Um,
you are.
yeah. I mean, just
Tell
to
you
talk
what,
about, different, different TV and film and stuff like that,
right.
and
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Let me ask you this before we wrap up.
yeah.
I don't want to keep you all day here. What is the last critical review that you have written?
Oh gosh, well, you've caught me at a bit of a bad time because the last review I wrote was not for something anything special at all. It was for a very generic hidden object game on the PC. There is a genre of gaming that gets ignored by the hardcore gamers because it's not a hardcore gaming genre. And I thought that maybe one day I might do a book and I might collect all my reviews into this book. And still need to write a lot of reviews, but it's just something that people often put books out on video games and they all look the same. So I just wanted to try and tackle a subject area people aren't doing. And so I wrote a review of a hidden object game, which hardly anyone has written about. And I just wrote a review of it. That's it, really.
And what's the name of that game?
Oh, very some. They all have convoluted titles. This was called Haunted Manor: Lords of Mirrors. It's about a teenager who gets trapped in a mansion, and the whole mansion has been taken over by an entity that exists in mirrors, and has the whole household that was there has been was captured over the years by through mirrors by these supernatural entities. And you basically have the only way you can escape so you don't become a soul, so your soul that doesn't get taken, is to collect fragments, to collect shards of your soul, which represent a shattered piece of a mirror, a shattered shard of a mirror, to rebuild your soul so that you can escape. And obviously, you have to defeat the Lord of the mirrors, or whatever he's called. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. I have an idea. Are you going to be watching the Doctor Who Christmas special?
I'm going to be watching the Giggle, and I'm going to be watching the Christmas special. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, do you plan on doing a review of the giggle or the Christmas special?
No, I didn't plan on doing any of those because
Oh, darn,
in terms of the
darn.
modern in terms of modern in terms of modern Doctor Who, I have been trying to think about going back to all the television and writing reviews on stuff to give my opinions, because that's what I probably, if I went back to TV, I probably would do that. Um, with modern TV, I don't feel I don't feel much motivation because it's not something I really enjoy talking about because it's so
Okay,
stressful.
fair
Um,
enough.
but I wouldn't like if if someone were to ask me to record, if someone were to ask me to come onto a panel and talk about what I thought about last night's Doctor Who or whatever, I would do that. I would I
Okay,
would I would have
okay.
to have a
Well,
schedule. I'd have to have a schedule, but I wouldn't do it by myself. I wouldn't record myself doing a review because it goes back to the whole thing about it looking unprofessional and um
right, right.
I'm at the stage now. I've currently been bullied and harassed a lot by people who don't like me about something, and I don't want to. If I come out with anything on my own YouTube channel, I want to come out on the ground running. I want it to be something really high professional, so they can't find a reason to downvote it to hell. So yeah, I think I don't want to start putting wonky hack camcorder videos out there of me showing an unboxing or something like that. Because
Right.
it's really just ammo for these people. So yeah, I think what I need more than anything, I'll just end by saying that I think what I need more than anything, and the reason that I've kind of fallen through the cracks over the years, is that I've had no advocacy for my skills. No one's kind of sort of partnered with me, or no one's kind of um, uh, sort of encouraged my skills, or sort of tutored me or taken me under their wing or anything like that. And that would have been kind of a great help. I think a lot of YouTubers get that from each other. So yeah, that's kind of what I've lacked. And this is why I've tried to get into internships and uh, like paid work experience placements and uh, just gone for jobs that I think I can do because I know I have some understanding and I can contribute. But at the moment, you see me on Twitter, I'm some people on Twitter think I'm not real. Some people think that I'm an AI bot. Uh, I'm not joking. An actual journalist who's a respected journalist actually thinks I'm an AI bot and
Really?
wanted me to dox myself to prove that I was a real person. Um, so, so yeah, so even journalists, even the most established journalists can not do their research and can be hacked. So yeah, uh, it's you'd be
All right. Well,
surprised.
Pedro, listen, you're welcome on my YouTube channel anytime you'd like. And if you change your mind and you decide to do a review of the Giggle, or the upcoming, what is it called, Christmas on Ruby Street.
Oh,
I think
the church on Ruby
the
Street.
church, yeah, the church on Ruby Street for
Yeah.
Christmas. I think the Doctor is going to regenerate in one
Yeah.
or two of those.
Well,
If you want to do a review, send me a message and we'll
the
do
thing
it.
about that as well, the thing about again I question the casting again because again I'm glad that the doctors are male again. I just I think, and I have nothing against a black doctor, but I think that I think the BBC are just doing it for tokenism. I just don't think they're I don't honestly mind whether the doctor looks green, but I don't think the BBC's intentions are pure or creatively pure. I think I don't think, and it's a shame because I think that the actor, I think that actor is going to be really good in the role. I think he's going to be really good in the role, and I think he's going to do really well. But I worry that it's going to be like Jodie Whittaker, where they've taken a good actress and they've just cast them in the role just because they want inclusion rather than just just creatively just trying to do what they think would be best for the show. So, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, that sounds like a really good start for a review right there. So,
Then
hey, where
then
do
I
you?
can get called a racist as well. The Rosa Parks episode wasn't bad enough for me. I have to be called. Gosh.
Where do you like to be found online?
Well, I can be found on Twitter. I'm called Slider 2600, I think, on Twitter. Um, I mean I could be found around on YouTube. I'm on sort of various forums. I'm on Blu-ray forum. Um, I mean, if people really want to contact me, they can find me, I suppose, mostly on Twitter. Uh, you know, I, I- that's mostly where I am. So just you know, my I I'll just say that my opinions are not what people expect, and it's not, and I don't mean that just in terms of politics, but um, I rate films. I rate some films higher than what other people would like. I've said this before that to be a respected film critic, to be a respected film critic or film geek, there seems to be this kind of viewpoint that if to be a respected film geek, you have to have a long list of films. So you have to have your favorite film. Your favorite films have to be of a certain genre, or they have to be. You have to have certain films in your top 10 favorite films of all time genre. Um, to be a good to be seen as a good film geek, but um, you know, people say, "Oh, Godfather Part Two, Fight Club, Goodfellas, those all have to be, Empire Strikes Back. Those all have to be in your top five favorite films of all time. If you're a good,
Right.
if you're a respected film geek." And I'm like, my favorite films of all time. I was trained to critique. I was trained in school, university, and school to be a film critic. Um, my favorite film of all time is Ghostbusters. My second favorite film of all time is Return of the Jedi. My third favorite film of all time is Star Trek Generations. These aren't Ghostbusters quite well loved, but it's seen as a kids movie. The other two films aren't critically in geek culture aren't critically seen as good films. So it's my preference. It's what I enjoy. It's I think there's too much elitism over what should be a great film list, and it just depends on the person, and it doesn't invalidate my views at all. So I would just hope that people take that into account. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Pedro, it was great meeting you today and keep in touch. Really nice to talk with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gregor.
Yep.
Nice to see
Okay.
you.
Yep. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
Bye.